new competitor, new Tesla killer is out. The Toyota, quite a mouthful here. It's the BZ4X. I think they were copying the XAE 12 thing. New Tesla killer is out. It's most similar to the Model Y. It's like a compact SUV. I was reading some reviews about it. This is Toyota's, fully battery electric vehicle. They kind of were saying it's nothing special, no crazy new innovations, just more of the same. And it doesn't even have a frunk space. So I'm not sure what's taking up all the room in there. I mean, but you can never have enough storage space in a car. And
Bricks.
it's got a starting price of $42,000.
So, and it's crazy because not even a year ago, Toyota was like, "We're not doing EVs," and now they are. Did they have a release date for it?
I don't know about release, but I do know that they said they want to sell 3.5 million electric vehicles by, get this, 2030. Tesla will be doing that.
Wow.
Tesla will be doing that in a year or two.
So 3.5 million. So that's realistically at that time will probably be 30% of their annual sales because they're usually pre-pandemic was about 10 million. So they're looking at about 30% of their fleet in 2030 being EVs.
They're really only playing the game to meet the government minimum, it seems like. And
Oh
I know
yeah.
that they get a lot of backlash in Japan too. People are not happy that Toyota is really actually one of the main lobbyists against, electrifying because they arguably one of the companies that have the most to lose here.
Yeah. And of course, as going into advertising, Elon had mentioned it the other day on Twitter about the fact that the reason why there's so much negative press about Tesla is because they don't pay for advertising. And it's so true. And it's so dirty to see how that actually works is the fact that these companies who don't actually have the best product are going to get touted as having the best product, or as GM's case being, they're leading the way because they're the ones paying to lead the way. It's not because they actually do. And unfortunately, there's so many people out there who just read headlines and go by what the news tells them instead of actually digging deeper. And they believe this. They believe that GM is leading the way. They're going to see this news about Toyota and be like, "Ooh, that's awesome. I like my Toyota Corolla. I'm now going to switch over to this, EV that they're going to be coming out with because it's going to be the equivalent and just as good." And, then they hear bad things about Tesla, car fires and this and that, and don't hear anything good about it because Tesla doesn't advertise.
Yeah, I think that's one of the bigger societal problems is I think people are just going to become illiterate. All they could read is headlines and emojis. At this rate, we're doomed.
I know.
And yeah, just going back to what you said, it's funny. I just saw a Wall Street Journal article, of course, about electric vehicle recalls. It was not anything to do with Tesla, but guess what vehicles on the picture are
Yes.
Tesla? Because it's
Yep.
like you said, they're not the ones paying for the advertising, and Wall Street Journal doesn't want to bite the hands that feed them or bite the hand that feeds them with GM and Ford who give them all their money.
Exactly. Yeah. And they're like, you know what, this it's a battle for survival right now. That's what it comes down to is that, and in order for people to survive, they've got to make friends. And you've got to put hey, where are my friends at that have the money, where we get it from? And then it kind of makes you wonder in the end is, well, what happens when that money stops coming in? So when you've got places like, the GMs and the Fords, and I think Ford is doing relatively well. They've got a great Ford F-150 Lightning coming out. They've got
I did just
40,000, they're producing 200,000 reservations. Good for them. They're doing wonderful.
mhm.
But when it comes to like GM, super overwhelmed with debt. They're going to make this transition into EVs that don't make them any money. They're going to have to lose their whole entire service business with their dealers, where the dealers make the money. So they're going to lose their dealers. And that's where they sell all their vehicles to, is dealers. And then having to switch over to direct sales to compensate for that, but selling vehicles that don't make money. It's going to be an ugly transition. And what happens when they don't have the money to even float their own business and keep that surviving? They don't have money to pay for advertising. Then these other companies are going to stop advertising and speaking well about them because they're like, well, you're not giving us money anymore. And if you're not giving us money and Tesla's not giving us any money, but Tesla is doing better, we're gonna say good things about them now.
Yeah, and it's interesting you brought up, Ford. They have those 200,000 reservations, and yet they've capped their production this year at 40,000. They're only going to make 40,000 F-150 Lightnings, and you just wonder, okay, so then next year, realistically, what number are they going to hit? Maybe in a best case scenario, maybe they can get to 100K, but I mean, and F-150s, I just looked it up, best-selling pickup truck, but last year, 2021, Ford sold 726,000 of them. So figure that's about where that market caps out. And I would even venture further to say that about 50% of those buyers have zero interest in buying an electric version. So, Ford, yes, I agree. I think they're better off than GM right now. And they kind of, at least are trying to survive here and not completely delusional. But at best, like I just see them entering this EV market in 5, 10 years as nothing more than a niche at best, where maybe they sell 300,000. And we were just talking before we started recording, we might have some Cybertruck news coming out, which that's going to further eat into their sales.
Oh yeah, yeah, and and it's like I wonder why they decided to cap it at 40,000. Is it supply chain issues? Is it cost? Whatever it is, I don't know why they decided that 40,000 is where they're going to cap it. But you have to remember too is ICE manufacturers is another challenge that they're facing is they have to now convert their ICE customers over to EV. Tesla doesn't have to do that. Tesla just has to convert any ICE customer over to EV. That's it. They don't have to convert their own customer base over. And in doing so, Tesla obviously has the name around Tesla. It's a quality vehicle. And, you're going to see all these people out there who are like, gas prices are stupid high. Well, I want to get an EV. This is where I want to go because Tesla is EV. That's all they do. And, I don't know. Ford, I think they're trying to tread lightly, most likely. I have a feeling it's because of costs, because they have mentioned before that costs are high. They're not going to make any money on these EVs.
They definitely don't have the supply chain security that Tesla does, I'm sure, with the batteries and the resources either.
Yeah, and when you don't have that vertical integration, that makes it a problem, because vertical integration means that, oh, hey, we've got a problem, we can go solve it, we're good, now we're going to keep on moving forward. You have an ICE manufacturer, somebody who's not vertically integrated like that, you have a problem, you have to then reach out to your vendor. Then your vendor has a problem. Okay, what can we do to solve that problem? Then you have to wait for your vendor to figure out the problem and hope that they're vertically integrated enough to get their stuff together. And then if they have to reach out to their vendors, it's so many middlemen along the way, they're going to hold up progress. Whereas with Tesla, it's Tesla. That's it.
Right.
And they have very strict rules with many of their vendors and suppliers, where they go out there and they're like, all right, well, this is what we want. This is how we want it. This is how we need you to run your business in order for us to run our business. And if you do what we need you to do, you're going to do very well. And that's it.
Right. And the whole thing with the vertical integration is really interesting too, because, you might say, got a visitor over here. You might say that the vertical integration, the other companies, oh, they can just become vertically integrated and they'll be fine. They could just do what Tesla does. But the reality is vertical integration only works if you're the best at it, right? Tesla's the best. Like they've mastered this. They've mastered the secret sauce of getting these factories out, getting these vehicles online. The other companies like Ford can't just flip a switch and solve all that and take all these third-party suppliers that probably supply 80-90% of the parts and put it in their vehicles.
Yeah, and one problem that I've been hearing from some people is they're like, well, Ford and GM and these legacy automakers, VW, they've got these factories already built. They just have to switch them over to EVs. And it's like, no, you can't just do that. It's not that easy. Yes, maybe some of the machines are going to be the same, but think about what Tesla. Tesla literally took over an old Toyota factory in Fremont. They converted it to EVs. Tesla, being the best as they can be, still cannot get the same production out of Fremont that they're going to be able to get out of Shanghai, Austin, and Berlin, and any new factories that they build. So it's not just a matter of, hey, we can convert this over and start making EVs. Sure, you can. It's going to be extremely expensive, and it's not going to be anywhere near as efficient. And so in the long run, you're not going to make as much money coming out of these factories, which is why several of them are building new factories. But those new factories aren't going to be up and running until 2025 or 2026.